I've been wrapped over 150 times and I've never been hurt because I've given up. I've given up. If I would continue to run and kick, it would start to scratch me up. It's not going to require me to go to the emergency room. It would scratch me up and I'd have to get about 30 band-aids.
This is Corey Jones with the Be Ready with Safetyman Podcast. Join us every week for a new podcast. Follow us everywhere podcasts are played and on YouTube, Be Ready with Safetyman. This is Corey Jones.
Hey, welcome everybody. Safetyman and Eat a Hoagie here on the Safetyman Podcast with Safetyman Consulting. We do some serious things to try to keep you safe. Sometimes we have a little bit of fun. Today's going to be one of those tools that a group of smart physicists and law enforcement officers got together and made. And the goal when they made this tool, based on ancient technology from like 300 AD, was to develop a tool that could get somebody in custody or give the police just enough time to catch up to them without causing any injury. And it's 2023 now, and this device is now slowly taking off around the world. What is it called, Anthony?
BolaWrap, right? This is the BolaWrap, which, so to throw us out, we're in New Jersey. It's not currently at the moment police legal, I guess you would say at the moment, right? But it's in the works. So I got to see Corey use this on a test site and got to see it firsthand. I know a lot of people are asking about it. A lot of people are asking questions. So I thought this would be a good conversation today to kind of break down what is the weapon, how does it work, and what are the chances that it's going to come, forward into this state and others. I know. So all right. So what is BolaWrap? Let's start from the beginning. What is it?
If you remember way back in the Andes and those tribes that lived in South and Central America, and they probably use this technology in other parts of the world, but we definitely have first-hand ability to actually have seen them use that. They'd tie a string and two rocks in the end of a string, and they would just swing it and throw it and wrap around its prey and strangle it, or make it too heavy to continue to fly or run, and then they would go catch it. They called it a bola, just bola. So
I've already learned something in the first 30 seconds here of this podcast. Okay.
So the president of my company at the time got some engineers and says, "Do you think we could do that on a smaller scale and get bad guys?" So after some years of testing, not a lot, not like you might think, what they came up with, BolaWrap 100, which used a partially charged 32 caliber round. There was no bullet, but just the gunpowder would push, and it would sound like a gunshot. It would push 8 feet of Kevlar out at an angle that kind of looked like a U, and then it would spread out. At the end of each of those pieces of Kevlar was a quad fish hook, and it was designed to wrap around you really quickly, and then the fish hooks dig into your legs or sleeves. And it was a pre-escalation tool to get us to de-escalate quicker.
And basically now is it still the 100, or where are they at now on it?
We have the BolaWrap 150, which no longer uses a partially charged 32 caliber round. It uses the same technology that's in your airbag to launch the payload out of the device. It's going to launch that 7.5 feet Kevlar at about 250 feet per second with the fish hooks on each side. And our goal is from knees to ankles or from elbows to wrist. We don't ever want to aim at anybody's groin. We don't ever want to aim at anybody's neck or face for obvious reasons.
So I'm going to throw out some questions that I think probably general public's going to ask. One, does it hurt the person?
I've been wrapped over 150 times and I've never been hurt because I've given up. If I would continue to run and kick, it would start to scratch me up. It's not going to require me to go to the emergency room. It would scratch me up and I'd have to get about 30 band-aids.
So like you said, you aim for the lower legs, obviously, to tie them up. I think that's also probably good too, because that way, if they do fall, they have their hands to break their fall still,
Right.
So that way it protects their face, because that's probably a question, like, well, what if they smack their face while they're running, But if they have their hands, I mean, any kind of normal person with reflexes should have the ability to put their hands out at least to break the fall. They might scrape their arm up or whatever, but it's probably a lot better than, some other circumstances of them running into traffic or things of those natures, or if they have a weapon and they're trying to hurt other people, or all kinds of things,
or having to deal with other tools that law enforcement show up with. That's going to also live and work, as they say.
Next question I'm gonna throw out there: what is the trapping distance, or however you want to say it? Like, what's your normal range of where, if a guy's 100 yards away, it's obviously probably way too far. So what's your normal range of where someone's in a safe distance to be able to connect pretty effectively?
We have data from the field and data from training that seems seem to feel that between 20 and 10 to 20 feet is our optimal range. Is just a great grace range where that bola comes out and is stretched 100%, 7.5 yards, and it's flying at about 200, going down very slowly because it's a heavy piece of Kevlar, and it's going in a nice straight line, waiting for something to wrap up around. So between that 10 and 20 feet is our sweet spot.
Gotcha. Now how many does this, one load at a time, multiple loads, or how's that work?
We have one load at a time at this. So our goal is to keep the device small so officers will wear it on the belt and not in the trunk.
True.
So if we put another whole payload on it, it's going to make the device larger, heavier, which then would make the case larger and heavier, and cops are just not going to wear it.
Okay. So I know some people were asking, is this, I've had people talk to me and ask me about, is this connected to taser, or is this completely different to taser? Is there a relationship to taser?
There's no relationship to taser. There's no technology sharing between taser. These are two completely different companies, about as different as McDonald's and Apple Computer.
Okay. That makes sense. Where can you use it now in the United States, and where is it going to next is the question.
Well, New Jersey has started a pilot program. We've identified a few agencies in the state, and based on however many officers, arrests, and types of crimes that they have down there, they determine how many each agency will get. We'll do some testing, get some numbers, contrast them with potential versus actual injuries for that same time period. And I'm very confident when the numbers show that the device, the BolaWrap, is a much safer pre-escalation tool, it will then become much more widely adopted, much like taser, throughout the state of New Jersey. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Okay.
People safe.
Where is there any states now that do use it?
LAPD's been using it they did a large pilot study for us. Metro-Dade PD. There's some smaller agencies are using them. I cannot quote them all, but there's probably 600 in the United States alone that are using them.
Okay. Obviously, I know you're promoting
New Orleans is one that's using them.
What has there been any kind of backlash about the product? Is there anything that you could say, what maybe could be better? What is, happening with it? Are officers complaining about it or anything like that?
A couple things that we changed when we went from the 100 to 150. Like I told you, the 100 had that partially spent 35 caliber cartridge in there. And that, by the ATF's definition, was considered a firearm. Well, we didn't like that because it made it more a pain to transfer. If your agency needed 3 real quick in a hurry, we had to jump through hoops to go ahead and help you.
Yeah.
So now we got better technology. The device is lighter. The payload is lighter. The payload goes faster. The device is easier to run, and it doesn't use that method of propellant. It uses the same mixture of chemicals that set off your airbag, and we get better performance from this in the new 100.
Yeah, listen, I'm all for technology in the police world, so I think this is a great item that hopefully maybe I'll see one day on the field, because it's one more tool that you don't have to get completely hands-on. And here's the thing, when your legs are tied up, from years of wrestling, it sucks. You know what I mean? It makes your ability to be able to do anything, you can still be dangerous with your hands, obviously, if you have a weapon and things like that. But if you're wrapped up like a Christmas present on the floor, floundering around, it gives the police an advantage to get back in there safely without hopefully getting too much hands on. Because if you get into wrestling, jiu-jitsu, anything like that, your legs are a big base of your body of trying to accomplish anything, get up, stand up, run away, or even attack back. So when you have that wrapped up nice and tight, that takes a huge element out of that risk factor. Or even just getting booted in the face, an up kick from the ground.
And Bola's done a lot of things. So there were complaints that our device was too loud because it sounded like a pistol being shot, sounded just like a 9mm gun being shot. And UK was one country that wanted it quieter. We like the fact that it was loud because, one, the bad guy, we wouldn't always tell the bad guy exactly what we were doing to him before we did it. Keep your arms right there down by your sides, keep your legs right there 1.5 feet apart so we can wrap you up. That wouldn't work, right? So we very rarely tell the people. We'll say wrap or bola, so our other officers would know. But we want to say that also to mitigate the likelihood of contagious gunfire. But the bad guy doesn't know that we won't do that. The bad guy thinks we just shot him, and then he's going to feel something hit him, and then his ability to move is going to be somewhat restrained. And there's a pause and some confusion that we teach our law enforcement brothers and sisters to take advantage of, that window of opportunity to get in, control, and cuff.
What is does the weapon look like? Is it bright? Is it black, yellow, orange? What does it look like?
It's molded.
I'll put a picture in here when we get the edits.
Okay.
People see at home can see.
It's molded plastic, so it can be any color you want it. LAPD, all of their less lethal is green, so they want the green ones. We mostly push the yellow. Just like taser, we want people to see it to automatically know that is a low level of force that's about to be applied.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I think the bright color of an orange or green would be good, just because that way other officers know right away, they can distinct. So that's just my personal opinion, because obviously right now a lot of New Jersey taser is yellow, and again, it's precinct to precinct, but that way it's very, let's say you have yellow taser, black gun, orange BolaWrap. If I'm an officer coming up on the scene, I'm 50 yards away coming up, I'm a block or two away, I can visually see right away that it's a BolaWrap just by the color differentiating by that. So for me personally, I would like it different than my taser or my handgun are. I'm not a big fan. I've never been a big fan of the tasers that are black. I've never been a huge fan of it. I love that it's yellow.
One thing you will like about this though, Anthony, is that we teach our BolaWrap users to not aim the weapon like a firearm. So the weapon is up against the body, the device, I should say, is up against our body the whole time we're launching it. We don't stick our arms out like a weapon. So you coming up 30, 40 yards may never see that I even had the BolaWrap ready to deploy unless you saw the green line laser, because we want to make it look so pre-escalatory, especially when it sounds like a gunshot, even the new one. We don't want to anybody's video or anything of anybody even to make it look like we shot something at this person. So we really put a lot of thought into every way that we introduce this device on the street.
Next question is, how do you cut it? Like, now I got someone wrapped up, I got to get them out. How do I cut it? How's that work?
We tend to use just trauma shears real quick. It's nice and easy trauma shears. It's not like taser leads where you could just break with your hands. You will not break this. This is a 300-pound test Kevlar. So trauma shears. We do not recommend the use of knives at all, ever. Trauma shears or seatbelt cutters if people don't have those. And then just gently, one person at a time, take the 4 hooks, account for the 4 hooks.
Okay. Any talk of having some kind of built-in cutting system into the BolaWrap, or is that something maybe down the road?
The cover of the new 150 cassette can be used to grab the back of the barb and pull it out of pants or anything like that. But I don't think they're going to have any cutting tools such as a seatbelt cutter in them, because realistically, if all we need to do is undo the 4 hooks, we don't need to cut anything.
Yeah, I definitely recommend people keeping in their bags, shears. We got to do, that's just all into something. We got to do a patrol bag future episode of just like things.
That was one of our first ones. It was so long ago though.
Well, then that wasn't a patrol bag though. That was a bag.
Bug out bag.
Yeah, that was a bug out bag. We have not done a patrol bag one. So I think that might be a future episode to talk about.
All right. Well, I'm out of the game, Anthony. So it's not really fun for me.
Listen, I just want to it's not going to be fun for me either in a couple of years, but I want to get to the level where we got like Iron Man gloves and suits where we're just shooting stuff out of our hands.
How about I could just make an any bag, and then you have to have yours has to be work approved.
Okay. There we go. Yeah. What Corey carries and what you can actually carry. I guess two different things. I'm excited. I've seen the BolaWrap. Like I said, I asked a lot of basic questions today that some of I already knew the answer to, but I wanted people at home probably are asking that. The last question I had, because people were saying, well, how do you know it's not going to shoot someone in the neck or the throat or stomach or whatever? It has lasers on it, correct? Or how does it work?
We get asked that question a lot. We thought about that question. We made sure we trained around that possibility. People don't stand static in an aggressive situation or if they're under the influence of intoxicating liquor or drugs. So we wanted to make sure that this was not going to be a strangle hazard for somebody. So number one, yes, it does have a green line laser, so you know exactly where it's supposed to hit. Now, between the time you see the laser, then function the button, then the payload gets there, there's going to be some time lag. And in that same amount of time, somebody's head could have moved down 3 or 4 inches, or if they were falling. So number two, the payload by itself does not have enough kinetic energy to strangle somebody. If it hit your neck perfectly and wrapped around and caught into your sweatshirt or your hoodie, it does not contain close. Your necklace, your hoodie strings are more dangerous getting caught on something than this is around your neck. It is not. The only way it could be dangerous, if you were leaning up against a telephone pole and I BolaWrapped you to the telephone pole, And then the telephone pole would be the strong thing that would hold you up while your neck was hanging on the other end of the bola. That'd be about the only way I could do that. So
don't shoot near poles.
We more worry about the wrap coming around and then the anchors coming in the eye.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why that's more dangerous and more likely to be a problem than the neck is. So we just, mid arms to wrists and then thighs to knees.
Okay. Yeah. And obviously the other thing too is people at home are going to probably ask is about the training. So officers obviously will have training before they get this. They're not just going to throw this out to people and say, hey, try this, see what you think.
Yes, they will all get wrapped. They will practice getting wrapped, loading it, unloading it. All the nomenclature, have to take a written test and so forth. So they'll be well schooled in it.
Gotcha. So that's all I have for BolaWrap. I'll try to add some videos or clips in here as well from what we got and some pictures. So if you're listening to this at home on the audio podcast, one, thank you for subscribing to the channel, but two, go over to YouTube, the Safetyman Podcast on YouTube, because you'll be able to actually see our beautiful faces, but you'll also be able to see the BolaWrap. I'll try to get some pictures and kind of.
I'm going to send him a video of me being BolaWrap.
Okay, perfect. Yeah,
and tased, and you guys can vote and see which one you think I like less, and you can even let the winner decide what I do again. There we go. All right, perfect.
Thank you, everyone. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you follow, and we appreciate all the comments. And it's been a great ride so far, and we want to keep it going for you guys at home and kind of bring you guys up to speed on everything that's going on in the world. So
yes, as always, stay safe, be ready, train now.
All right, we'll see you on the next one.